A woman named Betty Bersinger is out for a walk with her daughter near Leimert Park in Los Angeles. Everything's totally normal until Betty spots something lying in the grass. At first, she thinks it's just a mannequin, no big deal, right? But as she gets closer, she realizes it's not a mannequin at all. It's a body. And not just any body. This young woman has been cut clean in half at the waist. The two halves are posed about a foot apart. And her face, well, it's been horribly slashed from the corners of her mouth all the way up to her ears. That's what they call a Glasgow smile. This was brutal. But let's back up for a second and talk about who this young woman was and how she ended up here. This is Elizabeth Short. She's a small-town girl with big dreams, obsessed with the idea of making it in Hollywood. She's living with her mom and 4 sisters because her dad, he left when she was just a kid, faked his own death, and moved to California. Yeah, wild, right? Like so many others, Elizabeth wanted to become a star. She knew Hollywood was the place to be, so by the time she's in her late teens, she heads out to LA. She's on her own now, chasing those big movie dreams. But here's the thing, making it in Hollywood wasn't easy, especially for someone like Elizabeth, with no connections and barely any money. She's working odd jobs, waiting tables, just trying to get by. She struggles, bouncing around from city to city, LA, San Diego, Santa Barbara, basically anywhere she can crash with friends or acquaintances. It's a rough life, and despite her charm and good looks, she's stuck on the fringes of Hollywood. Fast forward to the day her body is found. The police arrive at the scene and immediately notice something strange. The body has been washed clean. Nearby, they find a heel print and a cement sack with traces of blood, and they realize she must have been killed somewhere else before being dumped in Leimert Park. Because the crime is so disturbing, the FBI jumps on the case. They take her fingerprints and identify her as 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. How? Because a few years ago, she was arrested for underage drinking, so her prints were already in the system. This case explodes into front-page news. The public can't get enough of it, and soon the media starts calling her the Black Dahlia, supposedly inspired by a movie that was popular at the time, The Blue Dahlia. But then things get even weirder. A few days after the murder, the Los Angeles Examiner receives a package in the mail. Inside? Elizabeth Short's birth certificate, personal photos, business cards, and even an address book with pages ripped out. And get this, there's a note made out of newspaper clippings that says, "Here are Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." Whoever sent this package wasn't messing around. They even wiped everything down with gasoline to remove any fingerprints. This person was smart. They knew exactly what they were doing. So the police start digging into Elizabeth's life, trying to find out who could have done this. Turns out, Elizabeth dated a lot of men, and that leads the police to a few suspects. But none of these leads go anywhere. The case stalls, and all that's left are some seriously chilling theories. Dr. George Hodel is one of the most famous suspects. Now, this guy was a wealthy, eccentric doctor living in LA. And let me tell you, he had some dark secrets. His own son, Steve Hodel, who used to be an LAPD detective, believes his dad was the Black Dahlia killer. Why? Well, while going through his dad's stuff, Steve finds 2 pictures of a woman who looks eerily similar to Elizabeth Short. He also compares his dad's handwriting with the Zodiac-like letters sent to the media by the killer, and they match. A lot. And here's the kicker. The autopsy revealed that the way Elizabeth's body was cut was done by someone with surgical knowledge, and as you already know, George Hodel was a doctor. It gets even crazier. Steve also finds a receipt in his dad's things for a bag of concrete, the same kind of cement sack that was found near Elizabeth's body. And get this, George Hodel was also one of the 6 main suspects identified by investigators right after the murder. The police actually bugged George Hodel's house, and at one point they recorded him saying, "Suppose I did kill the Black Dahlia. They can't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead." Yeah, this guy was shady. Steve Hodel kept digging, and as he investigated further, he found even more unsolved deaths that might be connected to his father. It's a rabbit hole of disturbing behavior, secrets, and connections to some of Hollywood's elite. But George Hodel died in 1999 at the age of 91 without ever being officially charged. And here's the thing, to this day, the Black Dahlia case is still unsolved. The story of the Black Dahlia isn't just about Elizabeth Short and her tragic end. It's a window into the dark side of Hollywood, a place where people come chasing their dreams but sometimes get caught up in nightmares.